In this video, I'm going to tell you which one is better, either Android or iOS. So watch the video till the end. Hey, what's up you guys, this is Akhilan from AkhilanTech. There are only two main operating systems that are widely used in the market. One is the Android and the next one is the iOS. Both operating systems have their own advantages and also their own disadvantages. Some of the features will be great in the Android operating system and some of the features will be great in the iOS operating system. But some of the disadvantages will be there in the operating system which will make the people hate to buy these mobile phones. In Android, we can customize the UI. For example, if you buy a Redmi phone, in that of course you will get the MIUI operating system. But you can install the third-party launchers like the Nova launcher or any other operating system and you can use that mobile phone. But in the iOS, you cannot do this step because in iOS, you can only use the iOS operating system, that is iOS 13 or 14 or any other version of the iOS, but you cannot install Android versions in the iOS Apple mobile phone. So this is one of the advantage for the Android operating system. So I'll give 1 point for the Android operating system in this case. Also, the availability of the Android phones is very higher than the iPhones. What I'm trying to say is that the Android phones can be found in any budget category. Like if you spend 5,000 rupees, you can get the Android mobile phone, or else if you spend more than 1 lakh rupees also, you will get an Android operating system mobile phone. So in any budget category, you can find the Android mobile phones and you can choose your best mobile phone. See, in Android also, we'll have the best gaming mobile phone, best camera centric mobile phone, best UI based mobile phone. So like this, in Android mobile phones, you can find the different categories, that is the best smartphone in different categories. But in the iOS operating system, that is in the iPhones, you cannot find these options because iPhones will be released only once in a year. It will be in the September event. They will release the new iPhones only in the September event conducted by the Apple company. But in the remaining months, they will not release any iPhones. So you can find only less iPhones in the market rather than the Android phones. So in this scenario also, I'll give the Android 1 more point. So Android is 2 and the iOS still 0. File sharing is also very important for sharing the files between one mobile phone to another mobile phone. And in Android, you can use the apps like the Files by Google or Share It. Share It is a Chinese based application, so I'm not telling about that in this video. So I'm just talking about the Files by Google app, and you can just directly send the photos, videos or applications or any games between each other by using this app. But in iOS, it will be somewhat complicated process. Means you can just share the files between two iPhones and one iPhone to another Android mobile phone, but it will be somewhat complicated process when compared to the Android mobile phones. So in this scenario also, Android will get 1 more point, that is 3 points to Android. When we buy a smartphone, the main thing we look at is at the optimization. See, when you use your smartphone, there should be no lags, and when you play high-end games also, you should never notice any lags or bugs in the smartphone. If you notice the bugs and lags in your smartphone, it might frustrate you and you might throw your phone away from you. So in this case, the optimization comes into place. Optimization is very important between the hardware and the software. And as you know, the iPhone makes its own hardware, that is they manufacture their own parts, and the software, that is the iOS, is also made by the Apple company. So they will maintain the optimization between the hardware and the software. But in the Android, it is completely different. The smartphone parts will be manufactured in the other country by any other company, and the software will be taken from the Google company, and they will do somewhat changes in the operating system and they will bring their own user interface operating system. So in this case, the optimization between the hardware and the software will not be great in the Android mobile phones, and you find so many lags and so many bugs in the Android operating system. So now my vote will be to the iOS operating system, that is the iPhones. And one more important thing in a smartphone is the software updates. Updating your software is very important because it will remove all the lags and bugs which you are facing in your daily life. The iOS updates will be released only in 1 day. So assume that an iOS 14 or any other iOS version update is released to an user. Then not only to only that particular user but to the whole world, the update will be released at a spontaneous time. See, an iPhone 10 user and an iPhone SE user, that is the first generation of the iPhone SE user, will get the same update at the same time. This is one of the advantage in the iOS operating system. In the software side, the latest model of the iPhone and an old version of the iPhone will run on the same operating system, that is the same version of the operating system, and we will not find any lags in this operating system. If we come to the Android segment, the updates will be released once in a while. We don't know even when the company will release an update because it will be in the hands of the company. If it is a stock Android mobile phone, then it will be in the hands of the Google. But if you are using a custom UI, that is the Redmi mobile phone or any Realme mobile phone or any Vivo mobile phone, then it will be in the hands of the company. If it is on Redmi, it will be in the hands of Redmi. But instead, they release new mobile phones very regularly. For example, an Redmi mobile phone is released in this month. In the upcoming month or in the 1 or 2 months, we will find another Redmi mobile. But the updates will be released once in a while, and in some of the mobile phones, you will not find the updates. Will not get the updates even after 5 to 6 years. So again, my vote will be to the iOS operating system. The iOS has 2 points and the Android has the 3 points. And the next one is a service center. We'll find so many service centers for the Android mobile phones, but their service will be not that much great when compared to the Apple service centers. Android mobile phone service centers just try to delay the work. So in this scenario, I'll give both Apple and also the Android each 1 point because the Apple service experience will be great, but Android service centers will be more when compared to the Apple service centers, and you can find those Android service centers in your nearby locations. And as both operating systems has an equal advantage, I am giving Apple 1 point and also Android 1 point. Also, most of the people try to just change their mobile phones, so iOS has an advantage in this case. The depreciation value of the Android mobile phones is higher than the iPhones because when you buy an iPhone and an Android mobile phone at the same time, when you just keep those mobile phones for say around 1 year, and when you try to sell both the phones at a time, then we'll get somewhat profit by selling the iPhones rather than selling the Android mobile phones, because Android mobile phones, the resale value will be very less and the iPhone's resale value will be somewhat greater. And if we add some more little money to the iPhone's resale value, and when you just mix up those money, and with that money you can buy another latest smartphone that is released just in the market. So the resale value is also very higher in the iPhone side rather than the Android side. Again, 1 point goes to the iOS side rather than the Android side. So both iOS and Android has equal points, 4 points and 4 points. So my final conclusion will be that Android has its own advantages and iOS also has its own advantages. List down all the points based on your preference. Give 1 point to each operating system based on your requirement, and which has the more points, just go for it. If you enjoyed this video, drop us a like down below, and also I recommend you to watch this video out there because you will find it more interesting. And also don't forget to subscribe my channel and turn on the notification bell icon so that you will be reminded every time I post a new video in my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in my next video. Peace.